señalaron. Dijeron igualdad, pero esta vez me separaron. Dijeron mucho, pero no se olvidaron de callarse. Cuánto odio por mi piel sembraron. Dijeron historia y la tergiversaron. Dijeron guerra, muerte, odio y nos culparon. Enfermedades, epidemias nos contagiaron. Exterminación de mi fauna complace a tus mercados. Dijeron riqueza y todos se lo robaron. Oro, platino, diamante, a la fuerza se lo llevaron. Y la actualidad es tan triste que todo aquello que dijeron es lo mismo que hoy se dice más. ¿Quién dice, quién explota, quién se beneficia? El asesino, el mismo que da las noticias. Hay una cuenta fácil que siempre me da las grandes riquezas, de dónde vienen y hacia dónde van.
Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao. Nati Dre es afroresistencia, cultura ancestral, afrodescendencia, solidaridad. Esa es la esencia, la diáspora africana eleva la conciencia, conciencia negra, universal, progresista y transcultural. Negros y mestizos revolucionando, pueblos caribeños y africanos en un solo bando. No más explotación, colonialismo interno, no más confusión, supremacía blanca en el Babilón. Soy rojo, negro y verde, afroliberación. Mientras más negro, más represión. Somos creadores, recupera tu visión. Mi misión es educar con amor, contra el silencio, vivo sin temor. Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao.
Rise up. What's good, everyone? Welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show on Black Power Media Reloaded. You are now tuned in.
Hey, peace, uhuru to the family. They got me out my bed, y'all. I'm here. I'm here. Nah, happy to be here, though. So peace to everybody tapping in. I'm Ikemba, the Rise Up Morning Show. Also, we charge colonialism, family, right? This the takeover.
Yeah, right?
We charge colonialism segment of the Rise Up Show. The line is somewhere fuming right now.
Black Power Media Reloaded X Rise Up.
Indeed. So everybody that's tapping in will be tapping in. Make sure y'all like and share this the Rise Up Show, and subscribe to the channel if this is your first time with us, and hit that notification bell so you know when we're on and popping. But it's going to be at 7 a.m. now, right?
Yes, the new time is 7 a.m. So yeah, you may have noticed that we've been coming on live to you every morning for the past 4 mornings, I think it is, live. But yes, it will be live every morning at 7 a.m. now instead of 8. So definitely make sure you tune in, let folks know, let people know that it's now 7 to 9 in the morning. We thought that would be a better time for everyone. But yeah, let us know in the comments, does that work for y'all?
Man. This ain't a democracy. It's a dictatorship. See y'all at 7 a.m. every morning. So, but on your way, hey, people go and get their coffee right now. They're going to get their breakfast, or they're cooking breakfast. They could be listening to the Rise Up,
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. This is, I think this is a good time. I think the same way that people come or people go about their lives every morning listening to morning shows, and they start at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I think you said something about back in the day.
Hey, that's what I was used to. Morning show. You better get up and be ready for the morning show at 6 o'clock here in Philly. We used to have some dope morning shows on. I think it was Word. Word used to do some really good morning shows Sister Mary. Can't remember her last name, but all of the elders, that was their woman. You know, she was really good. Somebody listened to in the morning. But yeah, I just remember like 6 to 10. They used to be doing some 6 to 8. Then there was those 6 to 10 shows. They have their music sometimes in there and just good discussions. Man, it's good to get that good food early in the morning before you start your day. Especially like this, the Rise Up. You know, we're coming from a revolutionary standpoint. You know, viewpoint. So this is the type of conversations we need to be having early in the morning. Most definitely.
I definitely agree. I think that being able to start your morning off feeling like you're reminded about what is going on, and it kind of helps you, I think, in a way to deal with whatever might be happening in your life as a reminder. Because, you know, sometimes, like, I think living in a system like we live in, and it becomes so normalized, like, you know, living within the oppression becomes so normalized, it just becomes part of your everyday, that sometimes people might feel like when things are happening, you know, they look at themselves more, as opposed to remembering like, oh, this is not really me. Now, that's not to say every situation is not you. You know, that's something you got to take up with yourself. But you might look and say, oh yeah, that's right, this here, it's not really coming from me. I don't need to beat down on myself or look at myself as the person that, you know, is the one that's who has created this whole thing, or who has led things to look this way, to who has led for me to experience these particular kinds of hardships or interactions or anything like that, or feelings or anxiety or stress. It's the system that we're living in, right? It's a product of the system that we're living in. It's a product of the generations and generations of oppression, the current oppression that we're experiencing, the nonstop oppression that we continue to experience, the nonstop lies and manipulation that we continue to experience. So I do think that reminding yourself about that in the morning before you start your day is a good way to make sure you keep that at the top of your mind, so you can handle things a little easier sometimes, I think, or give yourself a little bit more grace.
Yeah, yeah. And be motivated. And I was, you know, hopefully this could be something to inspire and motivate people to get through their day, and also making sure that, hey, you're doing something revolutionary. You know, you're doing something that's going to advance the cause for liberation. Especially our viewership. You know, if you tapped into this, we already know y'all are at a certain level of consciousness, or wanting to be at a certain level of consciousness to understand, you know, what's happening. What are those contradictions? It just exposing those, how they expose those contradictions, just, you know, examining those contradictions and developing solutions, right? And so going back, not looking at yourself as just an individual in this struggle, because I think that's where people can become like really dissatisfied or disillusioned or feeling demoralized as a result of just thinking that they're on the island and there's nothing that they can do to change the system. You know, I've been in a conversation with a young brother, and he was so discouraged about joining an organization and fighting against the system, because as I'm talking to him, as a representative of the Uhuru movement, I was talking to him about our politics and what we're doing, and he was like, "Yo," he's like, "I believe that." He didn't disagree with any of it, but he was like, "It's not going to work." And I just was like, "All right, you know why?" So just engaging them, and we was just having a heart-to-heart conversation. And he said, because anytime we get close to dismantling the system or overturning the system, he said, they're just going to kill us. And I was like, damn, boy. So he said, man, I'm just focusing on my seed. He had his baby in his hand. He's like, I'm just focusing. He said, you know, keep my gun on me, focus on my seed. He was just like, that's all. I'm going to worry about. Because his whole thing too, it wasn't just the system itself and the ruling class. It was also other black people, because he felt that there were black people in positions of power that weren't doing anything like giving back to the community and helping the community out. He's like, they got their resources. He was talking about all of these celebrities, all of these people in entertainment, sports, making millions of dollars. But where are they? And I could argue the point of why we will win, but he made a great point in regards to like, where are these people with these resources? Why aren't they coming back? And I mean that I kind of understand the reason for that as well, but it's a great question.
Yeah, when you were saying that, it was making me think about there's a quote that says, few men are born brave, many become so through training and force of discipline. And it just reminds me that we think that the people just will automatically be in the spirit to fight or be in the spirit to really take on this stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
really, the way that you come to really put yourself in the position, or are willing to put yourself in the position to really do this work to fight against the system in the way that we're thinking about and talking about it in revolutionary ways, is through discipline, right? Is through going through a process of discipline, going through a process of training yourself, whether that's training yourself through gaining information, like you're talking about, being watching the show like this, or being in a book club, or being in a study group, or being with other like-minded people that are also working to do things around self-defense, or any of those things, putting yourself through some type of training. Especially, that's what organizations do, right? That's why it's so important when we're saying to join organizations, where when people talk about joining organizations, is that it helps to put you through a training to prepare you and instill you with the type of energy and fortitude that you need to be able to do the work. Because yes, it's not everyone who's going to decide just wake up one morning and be like, yeah, because they have made sure that they have put the fear out there within us so much, right? To look, that's why they did it on the plantations, when they went and made sure that they beat and hung and mutilated those of our ancestors who resisted. They
Mm-hmm.
always are making sure, even when we think about the way that they would cut people's heads off and put them on stakes to make sure, whether that was African people or indigenous people, they would do those things. When we think about even on the continent, where they would cut the limbs of children off to show their mothers and fathers, to force them to do what they need to, so we know
Yeah.
that is what they do, is that they really work to instill that fear within us, and they really work to make sure that we know that there is a consequence, right? There's a possible consequence of death and mutilation and annihilation if you resist. But we know that there is nothing else to do but resist, right? Wherever there's oppression, there's going to be resistance. And so I think it's important for us to think that, and let people know, like you were saying when you came across the brother, that I understand how you feel. That's why you got to join an organization, help put yourself through a training to be able to understand, because that allows you to also understand that at the same time that they're putting forth these fear tactics, that they're not exactly who they say they are, right? They're not the most omnipotent, the most powerful, the unbreakable. And that's why when they do get into, when they are in situations where they're shown and revealed to be lesser than what they say they are. And when I say they, I'm talking about, Euro-Christian, European colonial, the colonialists. When we think about the Haitian Revolution, why they try to suppress it, right? Because it's showing them to be less than they are. When we think about the Black Power movement that, challenged, these false ideas of who they are and their ability to never be destroyed, that So anytime you put up a challenge that reveals who they are, they do not like that. They want to try and silence those things. And so I think that's why it's important for people to know that, look, you can put yourself through a training to be able to work, to do the work. So with that said, let's talk. I want to jump over, and we can maybe talk about it on the other side, to a little bit of talking about, speaking on organizations, the December 12th movement, along with many other organizations this past weekend, had a rally for Black Solidarity Day. We know yesterday was Black Solidarity Day, so I hope everyone stayed home.
Didn't go to work. You didn't go to school.
Didn't go to school. Didn't shop. Use the time to educate yourself and, build with others, whether it's your family or direct family, extended family, movement family, whatever kind of family it is, and friends, just to be able to, again, like we were saying, train yourself. So I just wanted to show a little clip, and then we can talk about it on the other side. So let me just bring this up.
Black people, we are not disposable. We are the root of all wealth in this community, in this country, in this world. We need to get organized, and we need to get organized now. The time is now for us to stand up and have demands. So join us on Sunday, November 3rd at 3 p.m. at Bethany Baptist Church and make your demands heard. What does it mean that we look around us and we see that our brothers and sisters don't have access to health care, to housing? We look around and we see that our brothers and sisters are being displaced, pushed out, pushed aside, disposed of in our own community, in our own backyard. You cannot stand by, we cannot stand by and watch our communities be taken from us. We need Black power! We need Black power, Black people! We need it, and we need it now! If you're serious about Black unity, then we'll see you outside at Bethany Baptist Church on Sunday, November 3rd for our pre-rally for Black Solidarity Day.
So yeah, that was just a little snippet of what that was the what do they call it when there's a bunch of cars? Man, I know the name. What is it, Akimba?
A bunch of cars? A motorcade? I don't.
Yes. There was a motorcade for Black Solidarity Day on Saturday, right? The day before. So yes, so that was just a little bit of the snippet. But Akimba, talk a little bit about, if you can, the rally and everything.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing event. It took place in Brooklyn at the Bethlehem Church, I think it's called. But in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, and there were many organizations that were involved. But the number I heard was 20 organizations involved. I wouldn't be surprised if there were more that were there and spoke on the importance of solidarity and how we should move forward as far as forming alliances, coalition building. And so a lot of that was happening at that event, networking, people talking about organizing campaigns that they're involved in, events or programs that are coming up. So the energy was high, and I think a lot of people made some great points. Just some highlights. Charles Barron was there, and he spoke. I wish we had the video of him speaking because he made some great points about the neo-colonialists that we have in office in New York City. And he said, "I'm gonna name names." And he started he pulled, because everybody was talking about Black solidarity and so forth. And he said, yeah, he's like, we definitely for that. But, before we had a solidarity, we have to identify some of the traitors in our midst. And, I'm paraphrasing, but more or less that's what he said. And he started, talking about some folks. Hakeem Jeffries like to wear, what he says, his Hanukkah more than his kufi. He he was he was doing a lot. I ain't gonna say he was doing too much. He was doing a lot, and I was loving
doing
it.
exactly what he's supposed to do.
He was doing what he was supposed to do. We even the Nation of Islam was there. The International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement organization that I'm a part of. Our president Nkuleku gave a statement. But I'm gonna just say, like, the energy, the youth that was represented in there was inspiring and motivating for me, to see, like, the next generation of revolutionaries, right? That is fighting for Black power, Black nationhood, and Pan-Africanism. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it was, it's pre-Black Solidarity event, and I think it definitely was in the spirit of Black solidarity and raise, like, more awareness for those in the community that didn't necessarily know what Black Solidarity Day is, and so that they know how to move forward and I guess recognize Black Solidarity Day, because it isn't a holiday, right? It isn't a holiday. Black Solidarity Day is a political statement for Black people, a means for us to make a concerted effort to disrupt the system, if done in the correct way. And though, I wouldn't say, like, the intentions, I wouldn't say, like, the founders of Black Solidarity Day were thinking it to be a revolutionary act, but I don't think it was off the table either, because Black Solidarity Day is a day where we come together and discuss a Black agenda. And part of that agenda, the discussion could be, revolution, dismantling the system, separating from the system, from the empire. So all of those discussions could be had, but it happens the day before the election. So why the power structure is preparing to vote in who they're going to have in power over the empire, it's an opportunity to discuss what we're going to do, to resist imperialism, because no matter who's president, right, whether it's Harris, Trump, West, Jill Stein, we still gonna have to fight. You know what I'm saying? Even though I rather would have some of the other candidates than a Harris and Trump, but it don't matter which one of them is in power, because this is still U.S. imperialism, the war machine that's going to be waging war on the masses of African people. So I think that's important. So yeah, I probably overtalked that, but yeah, it was definitely a dope event.
Yeah, no, I don't think you overtalked it at all. I think you gave the people a snapshot of what was going on and what was happening, and the need to really make it plain and make it clear. Because I think that's one of the things too. When you were talking about Charles Barron and him saying, okay, well, if we're talking about Black solidarity, we also have to know who is against that Black solidarity, who is pretending to be for Black solidarity and Black power, but really are not, who is using our wanting and desire for Black solidarity against us, right? Who is the one who is going to be parading themselves around pretending like they're with us when they're really not. So I think, like, what you were saying about Charles Barron is true, and that's something that we have to think about and address those things when we're in the spaces, and let people be clear, because people need the clarity. I forgot, there's a quote, I have to remember the quote, but there's a quote about clarity that I don't remember who it is that said it, but I have to find it, because but basically, like,
what did I say about clarity?
What you say about clarity? What's your quote? What's your proverb on clarity?
I got to put together my quote book.
But yeah, no, I think the clarity is definitely needed. Shout out to brother Shakara, who's in the chat, who is a supporter of ours, who always supports Black Power Media Reloaded.
Yeah. Brother Shakara, he's powerful, man. Give us a quote on clarity. I know he got something.
Throw it in the chat. But yeah, so I agree with that. Do you want to get into some stories?
Yeah. Should we do a break, or we just did a video? All right,
We
let's
did.
get
I mean, it
into.
wasn't really a break. We could.
Let's do. I'll get into the story. Maybe afterwards we do that.
Okay.
So the Peru story.
Yeah, we
Are
can.
you?
Yeah, we can do a
Can I
break
pull it
after
up?
your story. Yeah, you should be able to pull it up.
All right. I'm not used to being on. All right. So yeah, we're just going to do a story on Peru. We know that there's African and indigenous people that are being oppressed over there and dealing with neo-colonialism, just like Africans everywhere else. Yeah. So recently, the Peru Congress approves entry of U.S. troops to provide security for APEC summit. Right. And so again, you see the headline. They're saying that it's for U.S. troops to come into Peru to provide security, but the concern is that security would turn into an attack on protesters. So something defensive turning into something offensive is part of the concern. But I'm gonna get into the story real quick. It's a short story. The Congress of Peru approved the resolution presented by the presidency allowing Dina Bolarte's government to authorize the entry of military personnel and high caliber military equipment from the
Can
United
you zoom
States.
in a little bit, Akemba, just for the people?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
is
that's
that good?
Mm-hmm.
In order to provide security in the context of the Asia Pacific Economic Summit, so APEC, which I got a problem with APEC. So they approved this resolution. I'm gonna just scroll down a bit, and mind you, the U.S. already has military base in Peru, so they're already have an occupying army in Peru. I just want to go down to the concerns. Leftist parliamentarian, entry of U.S. troops signifies risk for Peru. Consulted on the matter, Congressman Guillermo Bermejo stated that there has been a permanent U.S. military presence in Peru for 3 decades, which puts Peru in an unacceptable neo-colonial condition. Bermejo emphasized that the presence of U.S. soldiers in Peru constitutes a risk, as these military personnel do not answer for any aggression or abuse that they commit. According to him, a sufficient reason for not allowing U.S. troops to enter Peru should be the risk posed by having foreign military personnel who would not be held accountable for any act of injustice. Right. And we see this all the time where the U.S. military, this empire's military, goes around the world. I stopped sharing, right? Where this U.S. empire goes around.
Stop sharing?
Yeah. Goes around the world and commits atrocities and are not held accountable. Whether it's in the Middle East, whether it's in Africa, right? Humanitarian acts of what am I trying to say? But inhumane acts, right? Atrocities that they commit against colonized people around the world goes unaccounted for. Not unaccounted for, but I'm sure. Like there's no I'm a lost word. It's 7 in the morning, right? But they're not held accountable for their acts. So with this particular story right here, though, the problem, APEC, first of all, is promoting free trade, is promoting capitalist interests. So let's be clear on that, which is going to undermine government policies that protect workers, that protect the national economies. It's similar to they'll put forth policies similar to structural adjustment loans that they were doing throughout the 80s and the 90s, where you will find colonized governments or neo-colonized governments having to transform their economy to appease the imperialists. It makes it easier for corporations to come into these countries and exploit the working class. And so that's what APEC is all about. APEC is all about promoting quote unquote free trade. But as Dr. Emerson Wilson said, like, there's no such thing as free trade. You know, that's another lie, guys, to hide the fact that the ruling class is able to manipulate the trade, that they control the trade, they control the cost of groceries, they can control, they can dictate the cost of rent, mortgage, and so forth, right? And that's what happens. But the issue here, though, again, the security is being brought in to defend, I guess, this APEC summit from those who are going to be protesting, right? There's an anti-crime movement going on, because that's something that, just to give some context, organized crime is running rampant in Peru, and the people are suffering and being attacked by, I guess you could say, mafia, where they're trying to organize labor. That's being undermined by the criminal element in Peru. But the government is sort of pulling back or they're not cracking down on the criminal element in Peru. And I'm against, you know, the neo-colonial governments anyway, but that's the state. You know, it's bad when the people are asking for more police and more state intervention within their lives. And so that's what's happening right now in Peru. But so they're protesting for that because they feel like the government isn't doing enough to stop criminal organizations in Peru. And people have been losing their lives. The Peruvian government has been cracking down on people using live rounds against protesters. So what's going to stop the U.S. military for doing the same thing? It's not as if the Peruvian government has a track record of allowing protesters to protest peacefully or to demand any sort of redress from the government. So, you know, what they're doing is they're bringing in these mercenaries, man. And anytime, you know, you have Africans who join these militaries and go to these countries and crack down on going to these countries and crack down on the population and use force against their population. Like, you guys are mercenaries. For one, you know, you most of them don't join the military for reasons of patriotism. They join the military to get a check, you know. So, you know, when you find yourself in Haiti and Africa, picking up your gun against your African brothers and sisters, man, that's something you need to check yourself about, man. Because that's all you are, as a mercenary. You going around, you know, like, you blood money at the end of the day. Like, that's what you're collecting. But yeah, so that's what's going on in Peru right now. I don't know if you had anything to add.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I don't have much to add, but in terms of thinking about the way in which the U.S. military, when we were talking about the story, it made me think about the U.S. positioning itself as the defender, or the policeman, as they called it, of this Western hemisphere, in this area, right, of the Americas, where they have given themselves a title since they started to move beyond this Turtle Island, like this landmass, to say, okay, well, we're going to be the policemen of this hemisphere, and we're going to be, you know, sending our troops into different countries to make sure that there's order in those countries, and that things aren't happening that we don't want to happen, or that things aren't happening that are going to be threatening to the US. And so this, to me, is just another iteration of them continuing to do that same thing, being the quote unquote policeman of this hemisphere. America, you know, likes to give itself the title of the what is it, defender of the free world, or something like that. And so
they're the biggest colonizers.
Right, exactly. When you have that kind of mentality, that makes you think that for some reason you are the chosen ones to go into other people's countries and quote unquote defend them, or help them defend themselves, because they can't do it themselves. As if you're not the cause of the instability, as if you're not, you know, you haven't been training up dictators and mercenaries to go into these countries and to destabilize them, to put them to meddle within their politics, and to put them in a position where they have to, not where the country has to do what you want it to do in order for it to be able to have some kind of sustainability, or just putting in straight supporting dictators that are in it for themselves and for your own benefit. And so those are the things that I was thinking about when you were telling the story, because it's the same old, right? It's the same old game. And especially when we think about not being held accountable, we look at the US troops not being held accountable. We look at UN troops not ever being held accountable as well. This consistent pattern of those countries, those European neo-colonialist countries that will come in and go into other countries and not be held accountable no matter what they do. But yet they want to put on a show and pretend like, okay, well, everybody else that is doing harmful, oppressive, neo-colonial things, they're the ones we have to hold accountable when we're thinking about countries that are not countries like the US. We're thinking about countries in Latin America or countries in Africa. Those are the ones, right, that they show and prop up to the world as these are the people that need to be held accountable, and let's bring them to the Hague, let's put them on trial. But yet the US and the UN never go on trial, right? Those countries that are members of the Security Council, they never go on trial for the things and abuses that they do, for the things and abuses, and even those that they send. You don't see a soldier that, has raped women and children in these countries, has killed people in these countries. You never see them on trial. You never see a trial for them. You never see them propped up on the world stage being held accountable. And so it makes sense. Yeah, these countries, they don't really want the people, the masses of the people. They don't want them in those countries. They don't want them coming in. But we do know that, like you were saying, when it comes to dictator governments that have been backed and supported by the US, they will make the space for them to come in against the will of the people in order for them to make sure that they crack down on any type of protest or dissent that comes about. So yeah, no, those were the things that were coming up for me when you were talking about Peru. And we know the job that the US has done in Latin America of destabilizing Latin America.
Yeah.
And then pointing the finger and being like, well, Latin America is so messed up. We got to go in there. We got to help them. We have to have these military.
Yeah.
We got to make sure they're on the right path, because look at all the stuff that's happening.
Yeah. And it goes all the way back to when you think of when America decided that they wanted to make the Americas, when the United States decided that they wanted to make the Americas, right, its backyard. It happened in 1823 with the Monroe Doctrine, and that was when there was a decision made that no more European colonialism or influence, right, or the remaining colonies. I guess at the time they respected the remaining colonies, but once a country was not liberated, once a country was no longer under the yoke of European colonialism, that it would now fall under the sphere of influence of the United States of America. And they, threatened to go to war with anyone who violated that policy. And so they've been going with that since that time, 1823. And they will invoke the, Monroe Doctrine, from time to time. I've heard Bush bring up the Monroe Doctrine decades ago. So that's what they're operating on. Because even if you look at it, even during the antebellum period, they were looking to expand slavery throughout Central America, throughout all of Latin America. They had what's the guy, I think his name, William Filibuster, who went down there and crowned himself king of a Central American country. I think it was Nicaragua or Honduras. I have to look back into that history, but he ended up losing his head, at some point. But yeah. But America, that's imperialism, though. you know, in this system.
Yeah, Nicaragua, he crowned, you know.
Okay, Nicaragua, yeah. It's, you know, it's a lot of information, man. Be trying to remember it all.
Yeah, no, that's why, you know, we help each other out. One, what does it say? What's
Oh,
what's the
manifest
quote?
destiny.
One
Somebody,
one brain, or like one mind doesn't hold all knowledge, right? That's like
yeah.
the African proverb. So, and that's why it's important, because we all need to help in having this kind of not just historical memory, but current connections to historical memory and current connections with historical memory. And so that's why it's important for all of us, because yeah, we're not going to all remember every single thing at the same time, but if we all help. So I'm helping you, the chat will help us, you know. This is work that we do together, right? We're not here, you know, as people who know it all. We know some things and you know some things, and together we can know all the things that we need to know to really be able to fight
What
forward.
you mean? This is America. Individualism. What you talking about? I want all this knowledge to myself. You know?
Right. That's what they make you. And they also make you think that, oh yeah, you know, I gotta be the one that knows every single thing. You know, they
Yeah.
feed on that ego part, to really make you feel like you have to be the one, the chosen one, the one who knows it all. And, you know, you can't not know something, or whatever the case may be. And that, you know, if somebody doesn't know everything, oh, you know, we should look at them in a particular way. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So
No,
you ready for a
but
Black Power break?
but real quick, Anthony D's making some you know, some really, really good points, man. Like manifest destiny. Yeah, you know, that was their pretext in taking over, you know, like like the ideas behind their the genocide that they commit, you know, the annexation of land, like this, you know, this manifest destiny, this idea that God destined them, right, using their religion,
Yep.
you know, to
That's why, you
justify.
know, like Baina Bello likes to call it the Euro-Christian mentality, right? That way, that
Yeah,
it's not just, it's mixed in. They've mixed it in with that, you know, their corrupt Christianity that they use and hold
I
up
don't
all the
think
time.
you think they really believe that. I think it was something to get, like, the ruling class is very manipulative, right? And I think it's something that they could get the population who are Christian, right, that may fight against it, because it's like, this is immoral, you know, killing these people. So now, okay, if I can rationalize this through religion and saying God said this was okay, then it's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because there's an uneducated population, right? You know, most of these Europeans is dumb as a doorknob, man. You know what I'm saying? Bright as a marshmallow. But
Bright as a marshmallow.
you know, like, so you have an elite. This is just me, you know, just thinking, because did they really even believe that though? You know, I feel like they're just using that to manipulate the wider population, so there wouldn't be any resistance to, you know, these brutal acts. Even though it really does. I mean, what you do, genocide is genocide. I don't care what the rationality is behind it, but you know, just
Yeah,
a
no,
thought.
I mean, no, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and is clear. We see that historically, when we think about the way in which Europeans, when it comes to using religion in order to justify the terrible things that they want to do, or even whatever it is that they want to do, they use it all the time. So that's why we see versions of the Bible that come out. You see historically where you have, in Europe in particular, when we're looking at this battle between the church and the state. That's one of those
Hmm.
long battles that they've been having for a long time, where you have particularly in the monarchies, right, these kings wanting to have more power than the church, but the church being the entity that has the power. And so how you come to the point where you have what they call a separation of church and state, or the in European history, looking and seeing how the church then loses its power. When we think even about, like, for example, like Napoleon, where he decides that he's going to be the head of the church and the head of the state, right? That there's always been this move within, you know, certain Europe, especially some of the ones that we can think of, like England, France, Spain, to a push to dethrone the church in terms of power, because the church has had that kind of power, but that they've wanted that power. And so how they have manipulated whatever the Bible has said in order for them to be able to justify what they want. When they want to make something right, and when they want to say this is what you should do, like you're saying, when they want to convince the masses, what do? They put it in terms of God, right? They put it in terms of biblical language, like you were saying, destiny, right? Things like that. They
the king's divine right to rule.
Exactly. Divine right. Exactly. So they always put it in those terms. They always camouflage it within you know, God talk, you know, for lack of a better word. That's that we know that they've done that, and they continue to do that today, right? When they say God bless America, right at the end of it. So you're saying that, you know, God is blessing the imperialist, neo-colonialist, killing, militaristic, genocidal nation that is America. Like that's what you're saying. Like God blesses, and we are blessed by God. And so therefore, when we go out there to do these things, right, as those people who are doing right, as that country that's doing right, then we're backed by God. But so it's just, you know, again, that same kind of language always used to be able to position themselves in a particular kind of way, so people think that, oh yeah, these are people to be trusted, and these are people to be welcome. But when you look at the world, most countries do not want the US involved in their business. The ones that are usually welcoming to the US are the ones that are the imperial other imperial colonial nations.
It'd be those neo-colonialists be wanting them, though.
Yeah,
you know, because they benefit.
Too. Exactly. And the neo-colonialists, they will too. So that's
America agrees your palms.
So those are the people who are usually welcoming. Everybody else, when they see the US coming, they already know, because we have a history of what they've actually been doing versus what they say they've been doing. You know, the people might not, the average person might not have theories to express it, but they understand what's going on in their everyday lives. They see materially what happens when people, like you were going back to the story, who are dressed in military gear and it says US, you know, or USAID. They understand what happens when those people come, and they don't want them there. And so the people already know. It's like you said, the neo-colonialist puppets that are in those countries, and other colonialist powers that are looking to do the similar things to the US, that are making sure that they support and welcome in, you know, US support, or, you know, US participation in whatever it is that they're doing.
These colonizers too, when they come, they like mice. I don't know if you ever heard this. They like when you see, you know, one, multiply that by that's how they, you know. Hey, peace, brother Chris. We started off talking about Peru, a Peru story. Congress in Peru passed some legislation to let the U.S. Military come in and serve as a security force for the APEC summit, which is you know, a colonial capitalist enterprise. So, you know, they're going to have their little discussion about how to further oppress and exploit the masses of colonized people, African people, and other indigenous people. But real real quick too, I just want to recommend Murder Inc. by Mumia Abu-Jamal. I think he does a good job. I haven't gotten to 2 or 3 yet, I will admit, but in part 1, it definitely does a great job in talking about though this colonial, the connection between religion and colonialism. He talks about it a bit though, and how this idea of divine right or manifest destiny showed up even in early, I mean, as early as the 1600s. But yeah, I know we're going to pivot. I just wanted to really quickly say, I was trying to see if someone can come on. The trial, the Jordan Neely or the Daniel Perry trial for the murder of Jordan Neely is happening right now in New York City. And many people, I think this was like, it made national headlines. But, Daniel Perry, this vigilante, murdered Jordan Neely on the transit system and on the train system in New York City, right? He choked him to death. And so now he's on trial for that murder. But he was able to raise like so much money. I don't know, it was like $1 million. I could be lying, but he raised a significant amount of money from the community, from the white community, after he was charged with this murder. So they're trying to, there's definitely a fight to get him off for the murder of this African. And we definitely want, if people are in New York City, the court date is Wednesday at 9 a.m. Not 9 a.m. And the address, definitely look into it as well. But just want to quickly give the address. I just had it.
Oh, where the trial's going to be?
Yeah, it's 100. I think 100 Century. I'll get back with the address. I don't want to hold up, but yeah.
All right. Well, you could provide the address after this Black Power break.
Indeed.
You are tuned in again to the Rise Up Morning Show. Rise up. It's early in the morning. We here with y'all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification button if you haven't already. And let's get into this Black Power break.
Black.
SNCC. The reason I articulated the sentiments of black people was because SNCC had a public forum, not because I articulated the sentiments better than the brothers on the streets or brothers who didn't have that public forum. I don't think that you could articulate the sentiments of black people last year any better than they did in Detroit. So I think the movement is a leaderless movement, whereas we might influence people, we do not control people.
Well, how does this solidarity come about if there is no specific leader?
I think eventually there will. I think as the struggle progresses, see, revolution does not occur in one stage. It's an evolutionary process, like people go through different things. The masses of people become involved, then leaders are chosen. Right now you have a vanguard struggle that's occurring, where like groups are fighting about discussing political ideologies which are relevant, which should be incorporated into the struggle or will be incorporated into the struggle. That's not to be misinterpreted with, like de-revolution, because it's just a phase of evolution.
What about politics? Where do black people fit into the political spectrum right now? Or should they at all?
Well, politics as defined by the geographical and influential spheres of this country is irrelevant to black people and is irrelevant to the masses of people. The vote has been used as a tool of oppression against black people. I mean, Camus raises a very good point when he says, what better way to enslave a man than give him the vote and call him free? See, it does not profit black people or poor people anything to have the vote and not be able to select the candidates who they want to choose. Now, how can you choose between Lyndon Johnson, Nixon, Agnew, Wallace, and Humphrey? There is no choice. Evil is evil. There's nothing in between that.
There was some lesser candidates. Dick Gregory was running for office. Eldridge Cleaver.
I think the vote can only be used as a tool of organization. We can only use the vote to organize our people. Now, to really believe that we can put someone in office and that these people would be responsive to our needs is naive, politically naive. Because even if one of the black candidates who ran for office was to take the office of president, then black people must be prepared to fight against that person.
Why?
Because, you see, the system mandates the action of the individual. The individual does not determine how this country will function. This country works off the military-industrial complex, which means that it's profitable to wage war. And unless you, devise another plan, another scheme to sustain, to boost this economy, then it's going to be necessary to wage war, whether, a black individual is in office or a white individual is in office. So we're talking about a complete a change in system.
If Mr. Cleaver did win the election, don't you think that he could have conducted the presidency in a unique manner that may not be, compromising to the system you speak of?
No, because, as I said, the system dictates the response of individuals. See, individuals do not influence, politically, economically, or socially.
I see.
The attitudes or functioning of the system.
Well, if politics as we know it here in this country is not the answer, what is?
I think there has to be a reevaluation of politics. Now, there are definitions of politics that are relevant to black people. Chairman Mao says that politics is war without bloodshed, and war is an extension of politics. I think black people have to begin to address themselves to the politics of revolution, because we are caught up in revolutionary struggle, whether we want to believe it or whether we want to be or not. So I think, black people have to begin to think in a revolutionary fashion and create and construct a politically revolutionary platform.
Is this going to be a race revolution, or is it going to be a class revolution?
I think, like in terms of struggle and who will comprise the revolutionary front of that struggle, it will be oppressed people. See, black people are in the vanguard position of the struggle because we've been the most dispossessed. However, there are other oppressed people in this country. Mexican American, the Spanish American community, the Puerto Ricans, American Indian, Japanese Americans, and even poor whites. But racism, I don't believe that racism will allow poor whites to form alliances with the revolutionary groups in this country.
Do you feel that black people will ever have a strong political voice in this country in the formal sense as we understand it? You mentioned that you don't think that this could ever come about. Is there any chance that it might?
No, I think that's a reformist, position to assume for me to say that black people will one day occupy in this system political offices of importance. Now, this brings on a whole discussion of control, you see, and how you control. Because anything that you don't control is used as a weapon against you. Now,
so that was a little bit of a Black Power break. You're tuned in to the Rise Up Morning Show. Shout out to Kalanji Changa who want to be in the chat.
Yo, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this dude skip work. What you he out there? I guess he had the boot.
You don't want to show up in person. He want to show up in the chat.
Yo, man. Don't. Hey, all right. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave him alone right now.
Well, yeah, you are tuned into Black Power Media Reloaded, Rise Up Morning Show. He said I'm on the road, chill. Thanks, but yeah, we appreciate you tuning in anyway. As everyone should. But yeah, I think the clip that we just showed during the break, just to remind people, we know what day it is, and so for you, those of you who are going out there and voting today, and that was just a little food for thought. That's a little food for thought.
And we was talking about this, a little earlier though. That's the importance of hey, we gotta organize. We want to change. But I think we could pivot back to that. I definitely appreciate I think it was Sophia put the address in the chat, and we have a sister out in New York too that can come up and give us some more information on the trial. Sister Shannon, fearless sister. She pulled up on me in Philadelphia, man. Like, hey, what's up? I'm Sister Shannon. I was like, all All right. Got you. You know what's going on.
Hey, what's up, Natasha? We saw each other at the Curb Fest.
Yes, in New York. Hi,
Yes.
Shannon.
Good morning, Uhuru. How are you?
Good. How are you
Uhuru.
doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. I said, good thing I took my bonnet off to give this little report back here.
No doubt, no doubt. Appreciate you too taking the time out. I know this is last.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know this so-called vote is overshadowing a lot of the important information that African people need with regard to this case. So if I could provide a firsthand account and some political context, hopefully that will help folks and also energize folks to be more participatory in liberation work.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, we need that context.
So, just for everyone's information, on May 1st of 2023, on a northbound F train riding from Brooklyn into Manhattan, a young brother named Jordan Neely was murdered on the F train by a Caucasian man named Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny put Jordan Neely in some sort of wrestling move or chokehold positioning and basically snuffed his life out on the floor of the train car with dozens of witnesses. So jury selection began last week. The trial began last week. The jury was selected and day one of the trial began on Friday with opening statements. I was able to attend yesterday, day two, which began the prosecution's presentation of the facts through 5 witnesses yesterday. What I want to say, just to back it up a little bit, I want to make sure people understand 3 very important things. One, that if you're in any sort of metropolitan city where there is a major transit system, that is a war terrain against Black people, right? This is the microcosm of the state through the police, through their rules and regulations, through fines and fares and regulating your physical movement in that terrain. So for us, it has become a war zone because not only was Jordan Neely murdered on the subway by Daniel Penny, the police also attacked Antoine G in August of 2024, a young disabled man knocking his prosthetic leg off, which did not get any media attention, as well as the mass shooting that NYPD committed on September 15th of 2024 on the L train, rendering a Black man that was not involved in the situation at all. Some reports are saying that he is brain dead. So, yes, that's correct. Gregory Del Pesh. He was an innocent bystander. And when the NYPD mass shot on an open subway car, innocent people were shot. Gregory Del Pesh, another woman was shot, and Darrell Mickles was also shot. So he was slapped with all sorts of charges and has a pending court date. But going back to the Danielle Penny case, mass control media have reported for the past year that Penny's contention was that Jordan Neely was up and down the subway car intimidating riders, and he felt that it was his duty to stop Jordan Neely from intimidation and possibly physically engaging with riders. What we learned very quickly yesterday morning on the first day of testimony that was not the case. A young woman, 19 years old, high school student, was on the train and testified. Gentleman that produced the majority of the video that was on the mass media outlets, come to find out he's a Mexican national and an El Diario journalist. Was also on the train, and another Black man was on the train. And essentially, Jordan Neely entered the train car closer to the front. And when he said he was thirsty and desperate and hungry for food, Daniel Penny immediately put him in a chokehold and threw him to the floor of the train. So this whole narrative around what Jordan Neely was doing in order to criminalize his behavior while justifying the white male's behavior is of note. And this is what Black people have to comprehend, right? That initial false narrative that criminalizes African people. So we do not sympathize, we don't empathize, and we don't mobilize in support of our own African people, which is deeply problematic. So we immediately learned that that was not the case at all. You know, Jordan Neely was attacked when he first entered the train. Additionally, between the two stops, which are 2nd Avenue and Broadway Lafayette, was only a few seconds. So when the train pulled into the station and the doors opened and passengers exited, Daniel Penny maintained this chokehold and leg lock on Jordan Neely. And Mass Mind Control Media did not play any of the audio, but in court, we were able to hear the audio. And you can hear people pleading with Daniel Penny, let him go, let him go, let him go. People running to call the police. The person that testified that did the filming, his name was Juan Alberto Vasquez Ortiz, and he testified that it was a violent act that he witnessed, witnessing this murder on the train. So this is problematic on many levels. As African people, we cannot rely on mass mind control media as a source of information for us. They will set the narrative in such a way that continues to racialize us and criminalize us in ways that harm us. And also what I wanted to highlight from the testimony is along racial lines, that Jordan Neely's behavior is interpreted in a violent way. The young lady that testified to being on the train, a very young Dominican girl, and the Mexican national, they described his tone as violent. He said he was hungry, thirsty, desperate for food. Meanwhile, the brother that testified that was also on the train that recorded said he was unconcerned. He did not feel threatened by Jordan Neely at all. So, you know, this interpretation of our behavior and even our pleas for help get translated and transmitted as violent to others that are not
The train
African. So I encourage everyone, all African people, to show up to court and provide court support to the Neely family. There are family members there. Although his mother is deceased, there are family members there. They had to leave the courtroom as the videos were being displayed. Very emotional for them. There is no Black media in court. All white media.
Oh, Black Power Media got to show up then.
Yes, taking up all of the media slots. So Black media would press pass in order to be able to use your laptop to take notations and report to the outside as the court hearing is happening. You need to have your press pass and you need to be present and be early and properly contextualize this hearing on behalf of African people appropriately and responsibly and politically.
Now, appreciate that report back. I mean, you made a whole lot of great points as well. Now, as far as like Jordan Neely, like this case, you're saying like there's absolutely like no Black media at all that is covering this?
No. No. I was in there yesterday and there were 4 rows reserved for media and it's all white people.
Have you come across any reports? Like how is it being reported? I guess that's my question.
Well, what's interesting for me personally is once I went to court yesterday in person, I'm not going to engage the mass media outlet at this point. But what I did notice yesterday is because since it's the day before election day, the trial was not covered in detail. So mass mind control media is fixated on the election. But the testimony yesterday was nothing short of riveting. The revelations that countered the narrative that has been in the media for a year were very, very clear. And there's a long way to go. The trial will last over the next possibly 4 to 5 more weeks. They anticipate until the beginning of December. So there are no Wednesdays. And there's no overflow room. So there are not too many seats for the open public. So folks need to arrive early. Please, folks, coordinate with your friends, your family, and your coworkers to ensure that Black people are present for court and can report back and politicize each day as it happens.
Yeah, no, definitely appreciate it. And I'm just thinking, even when the story first broke, I think about my experience. I ride the trains in New York and Philadelphia all the time. And yeah, there's times when folks are on the train who obviously are dealing with some mental health problems and can be aggressive and yelling. And it could be annoying and frustrating, but no one should lose their life over something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you feel, uncomfortable and so forth. Yes, it could be annoying and frustrating, but come on, like I've never seen a situation where someone posed a danger to a commuter.
Correct.
Never seen
And I've been
a weapon.
I've been riding the MTA since 1978.
Man.
Okay. So those of us that have been in New York City a long time, we've seen and heard a lot on the subway system. And I'm glad you raised that about the mental health, because another piece here is, remember, Jordan Neely was on what the Department of Homeless Services calls its top 50 list. That means that Jordan Neely was known to outreach workers in the Department of Homeless Services system. So, that is an indictment of itself of the failings of the city of New York to ensure that those with severe need are getting their needs met, whether that is for housing, mental health care, substance abuse treatment services, and support. It has been stated that Jordan Neely had a breakdown after his mother passed away, and she passed away in a violent way and in a tragic way, which contributed to his down spiral. So the support he's been needing for quite some time and has not been able to harness it through the systems that are allegedly in place to assist African people. And that is problematic. What that does is it places the police and vigilantes in our midst as adjudicators of the value of our lives, which is dangerous and problematic to African people.
Yeah. Like, I think there's a current a continuing war on the unhoused right now, right? Eric Adams, who's at the top of the office in New York City, is the head of this war on the unhoused. But it's interesting because I think like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, didn't they raise something in the billions of dollars? And we have people who are walking around without a place to live. They were able to raise some money though for these elections, man. I don't know. It's just a serious. I always just see like just the hypocrisy and just serious contradictions, man, when it comes to
remember the United States is a settler colonial experiment, right? So the what we're witnessing in terms of what's been incorrectly framed as the migrant crisis is essentially, labor exploitation. It's a way to bring in slave wage labor forces into the United States. And I think for the settler colonialists, this the nature of the beast, that there'll be hiccups in the beginning as far as having folks here that are unhoused, needing care, families without homes, and they'll get over that part if it ends up being slave wage labor, because what we see now are folks that are doing delivery, driving and riding around in the city just to have a room to share with maybe 10 or 20 other people. So this is typical for the settler colonial experiment when you look throughout history. And someone like Jordan Neely, who is at the clash of those systems, ends up being snuffed out by a vigilante, because all of these things are happening all as a gear shift in the city of New York, if we want to visualize it that way. The homeless system, where nonprofits are making literally billions of dollars a year off of the city of New York through our tax dollars and other benefits, and it's not working. It's failing. It's failing, but it's designed to fail. Correct. It's not designed to be successful. And in the clip from formerly H. Rat Brown, we understand that we do not hold any power in terms of our self-determination and our community control to ensure that homeless folks that need mental health services, families that need a place to live, are given these supports in a way that benefits African people the most. So, there's a lot of work to do for us, and we need to participate.
You doing a lot of work. I can imagine Kalanji is probably putting on his recruiting hat right now. So expect a phone call from him. I'm sure he's somewhere like, oh, we need this sister right here. But I don't even think we introduced you properly either. Like you let people know who you are, and I know we got something going on Saturday as well. But know who you represent and everything.
Okay, well, thank you for that. My name is Shannon Jones. I'm co-founder of Bronx Sites for NYPD Accountability. On the internets, we are known as Y Accountability. Our organization started in 2014 after the chokehold murder of Eric Garner by NYPD. It was a group of 8 strangers in outrage and sustained indignation to police brutality. And since then, we've developed ourselves politically and foundationally, and have done a lot of work. We are the principal architects of Swipe It Forward, which we did do yesterday for Black Solidarity Day, where we swipe New Yorkers in protest to broken windows policing in the transit system. So we're really attuned to the Jordan Neely case, Antoine G., Darrell Mickles, and Gregory Delpeche, and as well as the FTP series of actions and protests to Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio adding 500 police officers to the transit system in 2019, the ongoing harassment of churro ladies and candy sellers in our transit system, as well as mutual aid work. I mean, so many protests and resistance actions. Also, Stop the Raids in 2016 was the largest gang raid in New York City history, where the NYPD, DEA, FBI, Homeland Security investigations and other task force descended on the Eastchester Gardens housing project on April 25th or 26th of 2016, and pulled out 78 men and indicted a total of 101 on a huge RICO. So when folks are talking about stopping Cop City and things of that nature, we've been in Cop City since 1619, okay? So there are different iterations and different versions of how that manifests in everyone's city. But we do that Stop the Raids work. We continue to support the 7 brothers that still remain incarcerated as a result of those RICO charges. And that is through commissary supports and family support. So Bronx Sites for NYPD Accountability, we do a lot. And shameless plug, I'm doing a workshop at Medgar Evers College on Saturday from 12:30 to 2, where I have a discussion about power mapping to help people understand how to map out the political landscape in their communities to plan for effective action. So we'll be doing that on Saturday. So I look forward to that. And another shameless announcement. When we talk about African resistance, we obviously cannot forget Haiti. So there will be a film screening on Friday at 6 p.m., The Forgotten Occupation, where it is touching on the U.S. backdoor occupation of Haiti over the years. So we always have to have Haiti propped up as primary energizers of our liberation activity. So thank you for having me on the fly. I sincerely appreciate that.
Appreciate you. You on mute, sister.
I was back here busy trying to, get some of the visuals while Sister Shannon was talking and giving us all that information. No, but we sincerely appreciate you for coming on and making it plain about what's happening, not only with the Jordan Neely case, but also what's happening in our local communities as it relates to what's happening in the subways and on the trains and the ways that we're being targeted, because we know that after the abolishment of chattel slavery, they transferred that overseer power to all the whites that are out there, right? So whenever they feel like it, they feel like they can be the ones to come in and take whatever actions they want and go unpunished and unaccounted for. And so thank you for being there to make sure that we're getting the right information and the right news about this, so that we can be part of those who are making sure that everybody knows. And so therefore people can make the moves to help hold this man accountable, to put the pressure where it needs to be. And so we definitely want to keep connected with the story, and we got to work behind the scenes to figure out how we can be that media piece and fill in that gap that we know our people need. As you were saying, this mainstream media is not going to give us the real story.
No, and I just want to add one critical piece, Natasha, I neglected to mention. This is a white jury. All right, let's be clear. There's one Black female, there's one Asian presenting male, and there are other two men of color. But essentially, the jury is white and white elders. They appear to be at least 60 or 65. And this jury was crafted by exception by the defense to craft who they would believe to give the most favorable verdict to Danielle Penny. So we got work.
Boy, appreciate you. And the date is Thursday. I think I said Wednesday earlier, but it's Thursday, right?
Yes.
At 9 a.m.
It is Thursday at 9 a.m. for the duration of the trial. There are no Wednesdays, folks. There are no Wednesdays. So the trial will be every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, for about the next 5 weeks. If you cannot attend for any reason, coordinate with your friends group. Y'all get in the group chat and go to Dubai and Bora Bora and Mexico and all that stuff. Get in that group chat and coordinate presence down at Manhattan Criminal Court. Someone should be there every single day, observing and notating and reporting back.
Yeah, and it sounds like you be a good person to give us a report back, because this report right here back was dynamic, So look for us to be.
And I'm telling you, brother Ikemba, all these details are coming into my head because they had one white female police officer testify who arrived, maybe 10 to 15 minutes after Jordan Neely's already deceased on the floor of the train. And you know what she does? Give Jordan Neely Narcan. He did. Okay, and the question was posed to this police officer. Why did you give him Narcan? You know what the answer was, African people? Because he looked dirty and homeless.
What?
So yes, folks, pull these transcripts. You don't got to take my word for it. Read the transcripts. I took notes. So this white woman,
people that's police in New York, so that y'all know.
Yes, this white woman who is a youth officer Her regular assignment is youth officer. So she's assigned to our high schools in the city to engage with our youth. This is a white woman on the force, only 6 years. And there's a black man dead on the floor. And her assumption is that he must be ODing off of opiates. And not only do they give him Narcan once, they give it to him twice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but let's go back. We have to connect these dots. Sankofa African people. Remember with Eric Garner, the EMTs were pretending he was still alive so they could give him to give him a diet at the hospital. Giving him Narcan on the scene is suggestive or could craft that he was still alive. Okay, all of these slave patrollers work together. They work together. Why would you give Narcan to a dead man? Why would you do that? So this sets the stage on whether he was really deceased or not. Okay, so this is the reason why we need to be there, be present. And when we return to our communities, organize and galvanize ourselves to build dual and contending power. We're not just there as voyeurs so we could jump on radio shows and gum flap. That's not why I'm on here. Right. This is the impetus to do organization work to build dual contending power in our communities, not gun flap. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Absolutely.
Woo, man.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, somebody said drop your info for them, I guess, to reach out. Where can they find you?
And
okay, I actually answer my emails, Natasha. So I'm at Shannon@whyaccountability.com. On the socials, Y_accountability. On the Dead on Arrival Twitter, we're WA_tweets.
Can you say it one more time for the people just in case they miss it?
All right. Shannon at whyaccountability.com, spell straight out, no ebonics. I'm not in debt, 65,000 in college loans to be spelling stuff wrong. We are on Instagram at Y_accountability. We are on Twitter at WA_tweets. You can also follow Swipe It Forward. And that is how you reach out to us. You know, it's going down in the DMs. It's all right.
Hey, but that's it. You hit us with a message.
Shannon's DMs. Okay. And
yeah. All right. Well, I thank you again, guys. I appreciate everything. Thank you, African people on the show. Donate to Black Power Media Patreon to keep these conversations and the information going. And sincerely appreciate you, brother Ikemba and Natasha. Have a great day. Black Power.
Black Power.
All right. All right.
Hey. There it is. There it is. Hey, that's the message for the day. No gum flapping.
That's right.
And in this age, what they call no Twitter fingers or whatever, you know. Hey, let's get out there and do the work.
Yep. Absolutely. So, like you said, this is the word of the day. Rise up. Make sure you do the work. Don't just get the information, but use it to organize. And like Sister Stan and Shed, organize toward building dual accountability in our communities, contending power in our communities. Okay. So that
for sure
can be able, because, you know, in the same way, I think, you know, someone else had put in the chat, in the same way in which they organized around to raise all those millions of dollars for the guy who killed that vigilante who killed our brother.
Crazy, man.
It's the same way we have to make sure we organize and support, you know, and also rally around the family as well. Those who are able to support. I mean, those family members who are able to be there, because I know she mentioned that. You know, he doesn't have too much family, but there are a few people who have shown up, right? So
yeah. Well, what you call them, Black Power Media cutting into my voting time now. They not paying me enough.
Well, we right on time with the ending of the show. So
Okay.
You're gonna get your chance to slide out and go cast that vote. So
Hey, let me say, because I did here on Black Power Media. I announced that I was throwing my hat into the race here on Black Power Media. So you guys, y'all, hey, I'm not telling y'all who to vote for, right? But there is an option to write my name in. I just want to put that out there. But vote for who you want, man. Who you think is going to do the best thing.
Just know Akimba's asking, or letting you know, putting you on notice that he's someone that you can vote for.
I'm an option. Hey. I appreciate everybody though. I appreciate y'all for tapping in though, man, for sure. Powerful show. Shannon coming through on the fly to give us the update. We'll definitely have Sister Shannon back, man, because she said there's no black press there. I mean, she could be the eyes and ears and bring that information right here to Black Power Media.
Yeah. So we'll work on that behind the scenes for sure. So again, you're right. You are tuned into the Rise Up Morning Show on Black Power Media Reloaded. Thank you all for being here with us this morning. Rise up.
Rise up, rise up. Black Power. Uhuru.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one. Well, the battle is to love yourself and function in society where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares. Mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish. What tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution. It's real solutions. Well, we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Well, my inner me really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky. Like chariots are swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution. It's real solutions. Well, we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Where my enemy is really a mirror for the galaxy.